We're joined now by Marc Schulman, columnist at Newsweek and author of Tel Aviv Diary. Marc, thanks for being with us this evening on i24NEWS. A major, successful rescue operation, but it also highlights the fact that U.S. forces are still exposed. So as this war continues, how concerned is the American public about the risk to U.S. troops?
Of course, they're concerned. I mean, any war, there's a lot of concerns, and that's why people don't like war. There's no such thing as a free war, so to speak, like a free lunch or anything else like that. American people are very concerned about losses, Afghanistan, Iraq, et cetera, et cetera. The rescue mission was a great success, not only because what didn't happen, as you mentioned, what could have happened when we had a hostage situation, but also it showed the success of the U.S. Commandos and the ability to coordinate between the Air Force and ground forces, which gave a shot in the arm to the people who were suggesting further military action and possibly commando operations on the ground in Iran. Listen, the critics will always be critical. It's very interesting. Some of the American media is incredibly critical about everything that goes on in this war, almost taking the Iranian public line about so many different things. The American public is divided like everything else. Trump supporters are supporting him, 85%. Generally, Republicans are supporting him. Democrats are 100% opposed, 95%. And independents are leaning against it. But none of them are discussing really, none of it actually has anything to do with the actual facts. It all has to do, are you for Trump or are you against Trump? And that's pretty much how the divide is dividing. It's a Trump war, so to speak. And so if you support Trump, you support the war. If you oppose Trump, you oppose the war. If you oppose Trump, you support the Iranians practically, which we're seeing some absurd situations like that. The fate of the Iranian people doesn't seem to bother any of those people who are criticizing President Trump at this point for the actions, nor all the terrible things that the Iranians have done over the years to America and everything else. No one else has come up with any other suggestions. I'm not saying this is the best possible direction that the United States could have taken, but no one is suggesting anything else. And I think at this point, as much as there's, the attempt was not to have a ground force or anything else like that, I think we're pretty close to it. I think the American people will reluctantly go along, but we'll have to see. Again, and Trump is very unpopular generally at the moment, so that certainly doesn't help.
Well, you talk about this being split between pro-Trump and anti-Trump. And now that we are passing this 4 to 6 week deadline or timeline that the U.S. president had initially said that it would take to complete this war, can the U.S. president still frame this as a necessary war to his base and ultimately as a success at the end of the day?
Two questions. First, as a success, that depends on the ultimate result of the war. We still don't know. We still don't know with an escalation, whether it'll have any effect or not have any effect. Can he get an ultimate victory, or at least the picture of a victory? We do not know. If you can get that, it will work. Look, people understand, I think, that it's great to say war is going to be over in 2 or 3 days, but as we know, the enemy has a vote when it comes to a war. And obviously, the Iranians have turned out to be more resilient than anyone had hoped and are willing to fight to the end, so to speak. They're also turning to be incredibly insensitive diplomatically. In other words, they're not making any statements that would delay an American attack at this point. They could say, we're willing to discuss opening the Straits of Hormuz. No, they're just saying we absolutely won't. The same way they stated the day before the beginning of the war, we won't discuss denuclearization. I mean, they didn't leave the door open. And Trump needs the door open in order for him to climb down. So if they don't give him a way to climb down, he has only one way to do, that's to climb up. And that's what we're seeing. And that's what I expect will happen. But you never know. It is President Trump.
Well, Marc, what do we make of this extension then? When you talk about giving the Iranians an off-ramp, a chance to make a deal, the president's now giving them an extra 24 hours. The deadline is Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. What does that indicate about President Trump's strategy and chances for a deal in that timeline?
Look, we all hope there's going to be a deal, right? Every one of us living here in Israel would like to see a deal. Of course, a good deal, obviously. So maybe he thinks there's really a chance. I don't think there is, but maybe he thinks there is a chance. Maybe it's a bluff, or maybe he's planning to attack in the original time frame, and he's just trying to put them off. And so they're planning a ground assault in the 24 hours that he gave the extension. I don't know. We just don't know. Look, he doesn't want to extend this war. He wants a deal. But like the same way the other side has a vote in a war, they have a vote in a deal, and the Iranians don't want to make a deal. They think they have the upper hand. I think they may be wrong, but that's what they think. And perception is someone else's is reality sometimes. It may not be the real reality, but it's their reality, and they think they're winning. So they're going to keep on fighting.
All right. A lot of trying days and hours lie ahead for us. Marc Schulman, great to have you with us.
That's the understatement.
Yes. Thanks for being with us on i24 News this evening.
My pleasure.